I'm Alexandra Kreis, and you're listening to Outer Travel in a Journey. Journeying now for 30 years into the life and practice of yoga, I have met many who have taken interesting turns, went past extraordinary bumps, and reached unexpected places. People with whom I shared conversations about everyday struggles, intimate realizations, larger questions, ideas, and dreams. So today, I'm passing on the mic to one of them so we could hear and celebrate the wisdom in people's differences and experiences. A very warm welcome to Outer Travel in a Journey with Monica Biasiolo today on my show. Hello, Monica.
Hi, it's a pleasure for me to be here with you.
And it's a pleasure to have such loveliness in my presence and in this show for everybody to follow. A lovely woman. Monica, you're currently in Italy, Rome, and your profession kind of has shifted around as life artists like you and me do all the time. We're following the flow of life. So you came from architecture through science and innovation into yoga teaching, into becoming a holistic coach. My, that's a lot of a lot of knowledge you accumulated, and I think it's turning into wisdom as we age.
Yes.
And you age and I age, and so the two of us have come together today to talk a little bit about our experiences around that sense of letting go of old mindsets, maybe, and also what kind of indicated your story. That's also always a hit with people. People like to hear what was it that kind of gave you the little trigger to move on and beyond. So maybe you want to say something towards that. What was it for you that you would call as one of your significant turning points?
Yeah. Before, I used to believe that, good and bad are part of my life. And so as I have been educated to be a good girl, I was really, the definition of good and bad was two things, the opposite. And I saw that this way of, this mindset, this way of thinking, this belief was really limiting the possibility that this experience gave me to grow. And so I did some stubborn decision, because I am quite a stubborn person. It's in my gene. So I had some stubborn decision that brought a lot of pain in my life. And it was, it has to do with relationship with my husband. So I had a first divorce, and then now I'm divorcing the second one. So, and I'm discovering freedom.
Yeah.
I love it. So basically, this the pain that I was bringing in me through this difficult situation that I had, I went through, resulted in a lot of shame and a lot of guilt, which really disconnected me from who I am really, and what do I want in life. And being in a relationship was kind of the relationship that I was in. I kind of handled a lot of my power into the other person that was my half. And so especially the second one. So I really felt completely disoriented, lost, and disempowered, disconnected with myself. And all this brought into a disharmony, total disharmony in my body. People who knew me from outside, they could think that I had a nice life. I was living an expat life. Everything was good. I was teaching yoga, I was meditating, I was doing all these things. I would eat healthy and so and so, but my emotions were completely, my internal self was completely in disharmony. And this brought what, was my wake-up call. And I was very close to death because I had a very advanced breast cancer. And so that was the wake-up call for me. Because when you face death and it's very close to you, you kind of reflect and say, okay, so I was just 46, and then I said, it's too early to live, so it's better that I do something, and better to change something. And so I started with changing myself, my belief system, my things, that the things that were limiting me, the things that were disconnecting to who am I.
There were so many little things that you said. I know you just gave a very brief introduction to what's probably been very intense, but the moment the moment we celebrated your divorces, which at times are not celebrations, and it's not a slander on the person you're divorcing, but it's more a celebration of removing yourself from that shame of maybe having made a wrong decision in your life. I think that's what we're talking about, to come to an awareness that is whole in itself in that way. That shame is, what would you call shame, by the way? I mean, is it more a personal perception, or because we're kind of live in a lot of ethics to make social life work, and then there is that fall over or that turnaround point for me where it becomes shaming and blaming. How would you kind of define that?
I love the way that Brené Brown defines shame, and that is what I really felt myself. I felt that I was bad. I wasn't worthy of love. I wasn't, I was feeling that I felt really bad because for a lot of things that I did in the relationship, not because of the other person. The other person is, who is he? Who is? But I have the power of choice, and I choose to empower another person. To give, I imagine always myself like having a beautiful car, and so I was the passenger car. I wasn't driving my own car. I was sitting in the passenger seat. And so I choose to sit in the passenger seat, and so the consequences and the results are because of my choice, not because of the other person.
Yeah, thank you for bringing Brené Brown, very wise woman, helping other women to understand their own power, as you say. And what I heard you saying is when you mentioned that shame, she says shame is just another way of not allowing yourself to live, empowered. And to me also to just allow yourself to have joy and lightness in your life. I think that was the very thing I stumbled across when you said, like, to the outside world, my life looked so complete. I mean, that's what that's the trendy version of life. You have a good car, and yes, and she is also spiritual, and she's living a spiritual life. What's wrong with her? And underneath, it's all brewing. And so it's this reflection that you gave in that way that I want to talk a little bit further about, like, what was your diagnosis of cancer? Was that only the wake up call, or where did you start to notice, like, it's my outside world looks like that, but hello, something is missing. What was it for you that you noticed beyond the message of your body?
The message, because the body is a container. There is an inner self, a higher inner self that always speaks to us. And my inner self was speaking to me and was kind of giving the messages that in different forms, that this wasn't the path that I was meant to be, and that I wanted to be. But because there was so much shame and a little bit of guilt, because I had already had a divorce, and then, coming from a mindset that, oh, divorce is bad. And so I was in a relationship that wasn't healthy for me. And I was I had a small child, and I didn't want to kind of break this family and bring so much pain to all of us, even though we were all of us in pain in a way. So my sense came from really a fact that I felt really disempowered. And at a certain point, I didn't know what to do, because I completely lost my north, my direction.
What are signs for you to feel disempowered? And I'm just asking you because I think there's a lot of us out there, who go through exactly that, like, even if you feel you're in your first marriage and this is not a guide on how to break up your marriage, but I was just thinking on that this is more about listening to your inner self beyond what you feel like, where you find success. So what are signs of disempowerment instead of success? Because if your marriage was successful, or if your life would have been successful, what would that really feel like? What would that really look like? What are signs of disempowerment?
I would have a person next to me that was supportive in a way that would understand that I had also my space, and I didn't have to do things only in a way that, the other person had to do. So there was a balance. There was a kind of connection. There is an understanding that each one of us has, as unique as they are, and they have their own way of being, and they need to express the way that they are. So this would have been looked in. Actually, in my first marriage, it was I had a great relationship. We had only a crisis that we were not able to to solve, to understand. We didn't, maybe because the relationship was great. It were the best years of my, so that was an accident, and we let it go. And of course we realized later on, when already. So I am for a healthy relationship where the two parts really understand each other and give each other their own space. They respect each other. And so this was lacking in my marriage. And it took me a lot of time to kind of decide to go away, because as I told you.
Yeah.
But
it's a comfort zone, isn't it? Just to help along,
yeah.
It's like a comfort zone. And we think like, okay, can I trade against this? Do I trade one thing against the other? I mean, I haven't come out of two marriages, but I have come out of a lot of jobs, for example. And I think it's the same pattern,
Yes.
where we kind of feel, oh, this job is giving me a comfort, this marriage is giving me a comfort, and then to come and step out of that, that's the real tricky part we're talking about here.
Yeah, in fact, there are aspects, because you create an identity. Okay. And so it could be a marriage, it could be a job, it could be another thing. You create an identity around what's become comfortable, even if it's painful. It's comfortable because it's secure. You have that identity, and for yourself, and other know that identity, and so you do everything to maintain it.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, the soul screamed, because the soul want to express ourselves, to express who we are, because we came in this journey that is life, because we want to express qualities and be part of a bigger design that is important. And each one of us is very unique with its own quality that bring, I like this expression, to give, because I am quite, I have to see images. So even when I talk, so for me, the picture is we are not here in this world because we need to do, but we are here in this life, in this journey, because we are meant to be. So we are human being. We are not human doing. And so, and when we express this with all doing, we lose that
being
part of being. And when we are being, we bring the quality that are in us into the environment that we are, into the people that are connected to us. So
can I interrupt for a moment?
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling, that sense of doobie-doobie-doo, that missing sense of being, and being in presence of everything and being okay. And it sounds so kitschy, I know, like being in loving presence with what is. And I think he said that even to me. And now I was talking about identity with somebody else there that helped me along with an identity I was attached to. And it's he said, like people who say I'm a vegan, like that they are the worst. And sorry to all the vegans out there. It's not about being vegan, but it's about saying I am. It's about, like I eat vegan. It's a total different pathway. I think that's what you kind of even said as an introduction. What you are going to talk about today is this moment where you found out that you're, when somebody becomes the liar in a relationship, or somebody who betrays, or then we take on that identity. Just to crystallize this for the listener here, that's why I'm narrating it a little.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's or we have told a lie, but that isn't an identity as such, right?
Yeah. And this was a very important part for myself, because I was someone who was very attached to the past. And so that guilt and shame and, were kind of very present in my identity. And so to let go all this kind of junk in a way. I put it in comma because the junk served me to go forward. So everything it has its reason to be there. So what I did was kind of forgive, learn to forgive in the right way, because before I forgave a lot, and I was saying, okay, I forgive this person, or I forgive myself, but I was staying into a victim mode, because I would, kind of say, okay, you did something wrong to me, or I did something wrong to myself, but I didn't take action. I felt that, that was an injustice that was done to me, or I did an injustice to me. So that way was, I would stay in a victim mode. I wouldn't feel empowered by my choice, because I was, saying, it's your responsibility if this happened to me, to other, for example.
Exactly, okay? That's the point, right?
Yeah. So I wasn't empowering myself and saying, but I gave you, the chance. Yeah. I chose to be with you, and I gave you the chance and give you, the opportunity to do that, and I accepted it. So it's not you. I have also, my responsibility in here. And so, yeah. And so, understanding that, and then the next step was, okay, how do I forgive truly myself? So without attaching myself to the person and saying, okay, you are a liar because you lied to me. Instead, I wouldn't say, okay, you said a lie, it's okay. But when you said the lie, you were in a certain stage of your life, and a lot of things happen. You said the lie. Maybe you had emotions, or maybe you had fears. Maybe you had things that prompt you to do that. Maybe you didn't have the courage to say, well, because maybe you were afraid of the, but it's okay. So I forgive you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't define you what you did. This is the core concept, because you can change.
Yeah, you can change, and I can change, and anything that we build up as identity, I'm a successful married wife with, in a successful relationship with whatever. It's all just actions that are coming through us. And those actions are allowed to be, but they shouldn't define us and keep us in a place where they are not corresponding with what's next on our plan, and our, like how life is kind of like lived through us instead, and then kind of stopping life at that very forefront until it becomes an expression of your body. If you stop your life flow, and then your body starts responding to that. And as you said, you kind of ended up with a really severe marker in your life, having to deal with breast cancer.
Yeah.
So okay. Yes, you.
Yeah. So this was also a great tool for me to kind of let go the past and really be focused in the present, acknowledging that I change continuously, and what I am today, I am completely different in what I will be in 2 hours, because maybe after our conversation, I will have some insights that will change my mindset about something that I have. So acknowledging to myself that I am continuously evolving, allow me to stay open, and to be also creative with with, I don't know, with trauma or with things negative that can happen to my life. And so I can let them go, because I know that, you know, I'm in a flow. And this doesn't mean that, you know, because it could seem also quite easy, quite, you know, it doesn't mean that it's superficial in a way, because you acknowledge, but when you acknowledge that you are in the moment and you are changing continuously, you are not attached to really, to either the past or the future. You are really present in the moment.
Yeah. To not to become somebody that's unreliable. Do not mistake it. You know, that's what I want to say to the listener here. Do not mistake what Monica is offering you is disrespect of being in commitments and in reliability. I mean, she has a family, she has a son, so she knows she knows her commitments quite well, but it's the way we respond to, you know, just because I said, for example, for me, just because I said something to my daughter that I was very strongly, you know, convinced about, I can still change my mind around it when I see, like, my God, that's an old pattern of me. And that's just something I inherited from an unhealthy relationship myself. So this is what we're talking about, you know, to make those minor adjustments and not those big leaps. I mean, we're talking about a very big leap here constantly about that divorce, but I think the point that we're both aspiring to pass on to everybody is like you can shift your course. You call it your car, I call it often my ship, you know, like you can change the nose of the ship ever so slightly, and it'll bring you into a total different direction, as so many people give that example with the plane flying from the one side of the States, you know, like, and wanting to arrive from LA to New York, and the nose of the plane is just 1% in a different direction, and you end up either further up north or down in Miami. So
yeah,
that's what we're talking about here. You know, every percentage counts. Everything that you do out of respect, responsibly, and the other thing, what you call power, I call it 100% responsibility, to take on that 100% responsibility for all that you do and that you communicate and that you live. That is what turns the ship around, I think.
Yeah. And the point, you know, yes, we talked a lot about the divorce, but as you said, this can be applied in a different, completely different ways. Yeah. The important is that to keep that internal freedom of yourself, not to burden yourself with actions that you did in the past, that they don't exist anymore. And you keep bringing them forward with you, but they don't exist. You cannot go and change them. What you can change is just this moment right now. When you acknowledge your past, you change it. So when you acknowledge your past, you are ready to change. And that energy that you put in thinking about the past, you know, you are using it into the present moment, and what you are thinking will manifest in the future. And so it will be a new you, with a different freedom, with lightness, with joy, with self-love for yourself, and feeling great, because it's you choose and you manifest.
Yes. And I think that was a very good final word that you kind of gave to us. You choose and you manifest. And usually I ask what you want to gift to the listener, but I think you already did.
Yeah. And you don't empower. We talked a lot about marriage, but it could be, the mindset around you, the society, your boss, your colleagues, or whoever is around you. That dim in a way your light, because you are empowering others. But instead, when you take control of your car, your beautiful Ferrari, you go all over, and you can go even to a fast speed, or you can go slow. You choose and you choose your destination. You choose where to go. You can go to the beach, you can go to the mountain, you can go, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can choose to take a break when you need a break.
Yes, and you can stop and you can see the scenery and feel great, because you are in nature and you can see the beauty of nature and enjoy and feeling part of it.
Yes.
Part of the whole. And that is, and when you feel part of the whole, when you just see a beautiful flower, even if it's a tiny in the roadside, but it has that bright color and it's beautiful, and you look at it and you see perfection, and maybe it smells also good. And you see that is also you, and you are that, because we are part of the whole.
Tattvamasi. I'm that too. Saying, well, I truly enjoyed this. Thank you for showing up today as Monica Biasiolo.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you, listener, for following this conversation so diligently and leaving maybe a comment. Maybe you feel touched. And if you want to work with Monica, I think she also speaks Italian. So if you're English,
Italian, Spanish.
There you go. You have somebody.
I have some languages.
Yes, that can listen to you in various ways, and from her own experience and from a life fully lived so far. So
thank you so much for having me and holding the space. And it was a pleasure to share my journey with you.
Yeah, listening to you, I just felt to like I had that great sense of let all these beautiful, if I may say that, soft women rise, because there's a softness that's so beautiful to you, and that needs to speak more in this world, I feel. So yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.
Bye.